Hey everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the French line. This is the Tier 9, the AMX 5120. As always, we'll have a complete guide and we'll look at the tech spec using blitzhanger.com, which is a website that all blitzers should use. Fantastic asset, and one that I am a Patreon of. Now, firstly, this is not a heavy tank. It's in a heavy tank line, but it's not a heavy tank. It's not even a heavium. I would say it's a medium at best. And on this line, you've gone from a heavy tank and the RL44 right up to a heavium to what is now a pure medium, and you've done that in 3 tiers from 6 to 9. Now, this tank is a good tank though, but difficult to play. So it has 3 types of guns, and 120mm is the top gun, as the name suggests, and the best DPM is with 120mm, giving you over 2,500 damage points per minute. You're going to get 400 damage points per round, giving you 1200 burst damage with armor piercing rounds, which is fantastic. You can fire those rounds off in 9 seconds, which is really good. There's 3 seconds between round. You get 257 mils of pen with the AP, 340 with APCO, which is your Pramo, and 65 with HE, which is important to note. That's quite high. And you will pen all light tanks with that, and most mediums at the back and side. So load up HE because you can use it, and your HE full burst damage is massive. Muzzle velocity is 1067 meters per second, which you can increase to 1387 meters per second with supercharge. So I'd recommend that because you will be doing sniping in this tank for sure. It is a tank to snipe with. The tank is fast and mobile. It does 50 kilometers an hour forward, 20 in reverse. So it's very fast and mobile, again like a medium tank, not like a heavy tank. And when we look at the armor profile, you'll see that it doesn't have any armor either. So this is definitely not a heavy tank, even though it's in a heavy tank line. Gun depression is only 6 degrees, so be aware of that. It's only 8 in elevation, so you're very limited gun alignment in this tank, so you really need to be careful about that. You're not going to be able to fire over hills, and you're not going to be able to fire up hills either. So basically flat on is more or less your gun alignment. This tank is, as I said, difficult to play, and one of the key things about it is its magazine, which we'll talk about in a second. Before we look at the armor, we'll have a look at the concealment. The concealment is very good, right? You're going to have 289 meters when still. So that means the enemy has to come within 289 meters of you to spot you, which is really good, particularly for what is effectively a heavy tank. Now, as I said, look, there is no armor in this tank. It's not a heavy tank. You can see that, right? So there's no point really talking too much about the armor. You might be able to side scrape on it if you get a very acute angle, but I wouldn't rely on that. And front on, you're going to be penned by most things. The sides and back, you're very, very easily penned. Now, if you've looked at the review we have of the AMX 5100, the tank before this, I talked about the fact that the rounds in this tank are very precious, and you need to take note of that. And we'll discuss the implications of that a bit later on. We talk tactics. Now, your butt in this tank has a big HE sign on it, right? I mean, and this ass will get tapped. You have almost no armor. There are big guns out there like a WT, and a WT waffle tractor can roll you for 1200 damage points. That's a lot of pain. A lot of pain to endure. You can HE into the back or into the sides of you. And your view range as is 288 meters only. You're going to be outviewed by things like, for example, a standard B. He's going to have 25 more view range than you, so he's going to spot you up, and then if there's a waffle tractor or something that has a line on you, you're going to get smashed, and your game is over before it begins. So you need to proceed with caution. You need your allies to spot for you. So basically you don't want to go out into the open until you know where those big guns are. And that means that you can't play this as a heavy tank, because a heavy tank's role is to move up, to be the tip of the spear, to gain strategic positions in the map, and that's not what this tank does. So this tank also is not a medium tank, because a medium tank goes out in spots. You will get spotted up before you can spot the enemy and can get smashed, and your game can be over before it even starts. So therefore, I would suggest that you play this tank as a support tank. You are effectively a mobile artillery platform. You can get into position very quickly. You can do a lot of damage in 9 seconds, 1200 damage points plus with AP rounds. And if you fire HE rounds, you can do 1600 damage points. So basically you can almost clear an entire tier 9 tank and clear many tier 8 tanks with 1 9-second burst of damage. That's a very powerful asset, a very powerful tool to have on your team, but it has to be used correctly. We also mentioned that the shells are precious. Why? Well, this is an autoloader system, but it's not an automatic reloading autoloader like, for example, the Pantera or the Standard B. So when you fire off a round, as with the tank before it, that round is then lost. You only have 2 of your 3. It doesn't automatically reload as with the Pantera, Standard B, etc. So if you fire a shot on spec, it means you've reduced and miss, it means you reduced your burst damage by 1/3. If you fire 2 shots on spec and miss, it means you reduced your burst damage by 66%, so you're only running at 33% efficiency. So therefore, firing shots on spec in this is not recommended. You need to make your shots count, because there is a really long, over 20-second reload between magazines. So therefore, this is not a tank to be firing shots on spec with. You need to regard your shots as precious, as gold. Don't waste them, make sure they count. That is the secret to playing this tank effectively. Now we're going to have a look at a battle here. This is Alpenstadt. As we said, it's supremacy map. I'm going to go towards A to support my medium and heavy tanks, my medium tank, light tanks, which are moving towards A. Now, as I said, I am going to adopt a position here almost like a TD. Why? Because as I said, this is a mobile artillery platform. It's most effective when dealing significant burst damage to the enemy, and I am not out in the open exposing myself with my lack of armor. So, okay, you may say that this is camping. A lot of you will get criticism, by the way, from guys on your team. Oh, why is he camping in this tank, etc. But you need to understand the role and the limitations of your tank. Now, you're going to see something very curious here, right? I fire off several rounds here, and the first one I thought I somehow fluffed. I thought it was RNG, right? But then I aim carefully at the next one, as you'll see coming up here. And again, I don't see any damage and I don't get any hit. So you'll see it here, line it up, fire. And I'm just like, literally, what the fuck is going on here? Why am I not doing any damage? Fire another one, and I saw that one going straight in. And now here's the answer. Standard B was in front of those guys and he took all that damage. So that's that mystery solved there, Sherlock. Why is that? Well, the Standard B has excellent concealment figures. So the others were spotted up, but he wasn't. And this goes back to the importance of concealment. And it's something which is overlooked by many, many players. But you can see how important it is and how effective it can be. That Standard B was unspotted while his allies were spotted. It didn't stop him getting damaged, but he wasn't damaged on purpose, right? It was sheer fluke that he got damaged. Now you can see what I mean. So about making your shots count. You can see what I mean about making the reload there, how long it is, right? What I would suggest, by the way, and this is also something I've seen a lot of players not do, you should use time when you're inactive in the game, in terms of firing, to reload. So, and I've seen many players do this, make this mistake. They're in an auto loader like this. They have 1 round left, and they're moving. There's no enemy around, and they're moving around the map, and they're not reloading. So if you have to move from a point to a point in the map where you're not engaging the enemy, use it to reload. If you're capping a base with no enemy around, use it to reload. Even if you've only fired off 1 round, if you've got that 20 seconds spare, good gameplay, good shell maintenance suggests that you should use it to reload so that you can have max burst damage more often and more frequently during the game, and therefore you'll be a more effective player. Right? It's simple. It's not rocket science, it's simple logic. You can see here now I am inactive when I'm reloading, right? I can't influence the game unless maybe I'm capturing a base. So what I decide to do is always go into cover. There's nothing wrong with this. This is just good game management. So when you're reloading, just stay in cover. You can't do anything anyway, right? Now, so therefore, why give away your hit points by moving around when you're inactive, right? Now I am just going to fire one round on spec at this guy just while I get out of there. I was going to reload anyway, so it's not for me. It wasn't a round wasted anyway. So now I am moving around the map. I'm moving away from trouble while I reload, because I cannot affect the game while I am reloading. And once I'm reloaded, then I'm going to come back in and engage the enemy. I come up behind him, RNG or fluff that shot, don't know why. Get another round into him here. You see though, by fluffing that first shot, I actually didn't clear him, and that hurt me, because I now have to go for a full reload, and I'm gonna have to use another round to clear him off, and it's 2v1. But nonetheless, you can see the speed and mobility of this tank is going to help me here. Now I clear him off. Now this fuck is coming for me. So what I decide to do is I decide to go for a full reload so I can clear him, because I'm going to go around behind him here, and this move here is what wins the game for me. Pushing forward using the mobility of my tank to get around behind him. Once I'm in behind him, it's game over. He has no turret. My tank is fast and maneuverable. It has the maneuverability of a medium tank. And now the decision to get my full clip reloaded, my full magazine rather, it's not a clip, shows I'm able to clear him. If I had not done the full reload, then I wouldn't have been able to clear him off, and he would have escaped down into the valley. I would have lost my strategic position on him. And who knows, because it's very difficult to pen a fuck front on. I am a one shot for him, so certainly the game would not have been a foregone conclusion then. The fuck has a great gun. We've reviewed it already on here. It is a great tank. It's fast and maneuverable, has great frontal armor. Difficult for me to pen him front on if he had escaped, if he'd gotten away. So here I would have had no rounds left, and he would have gotten away. I would have had to chase him, and yeah, sure, I could have killed him, but I had 20 seconds of uncertainty in which he may have been able to get around, maneuver, and get a shot onto me. So there we go. I think a good example of how to play this tank, a good example of utilizing its strengths while trying to negate or limit the impact of its weaknesses. Delivered a mastery badge, playing to the strengths of that tank. You can see there the damage on the standard B, the rounds that we thought were ghost rounds actually went through him. Damage on the IS-5, on the VK, the T-34, and lastly on the FOC, using the full magazine to clear him off and to win the game. You can see there we did over 1,000 damage, well within the range of the 1,200 damage burst damage that you can do with this tank, with this gun. So I think, several lessons to be learned about this tank, several important lessons to learn, to understand its limitations and to play to its strengths, because it is a difficult tank to play. The advantage that you have is you've played the AMX 5100 before, very similar gameplay. But I would just say to you, you're a mobile artillery platform. You can do lots of damage. You're a great asset to your team. You're fast and mobile, but you do have limitations. You're inactive for large periods when you're reloading. Your shells are precious. Don't waste them. Make sure they count. And make sure that you stay out of trouble when you are reloading and inactive, and use other inactive parts of the game to use to reload. So let's recap. This is not a heavy tank. We discussed it. It has no real armor and has a very, very vulnerable, but as we said, you are a HE sign driving around. But it is agile and mobile, as you saw. It gets around the map. You saw in those last two brawls, when it was 2v1, how effective and mobile it is. It has great gun handling. You got a 3-second reload per round, which is great, but you got 22.5 seconds, way over 20-second reload on the magazine, so you need to note that, and you're effectively inactive when that's happening. You got 1347 meter per second muzzle velocity with supercharge. Use it. You've only got 6 degrees of gun depression and 8 degrees of elevation. It's very limited shot alignment in this tank. You need basically flat on is basically all you have, really. But it has excellent traverse and excellent brawler, as you saw. But please, when you're brawling, be aware of your shell count. It's extremely important. 257 millimeters of pen with AP. As I said, you guys, you need to watch your button sides in this. You have virtually no armor. Do not go out into the open if you don't know where the big guns are. Keep safe, otherwise your game will be over before it begins. Music was Saint-Cyan, Dance Macabre, and Offenbach, Orpheus in the Urn of the World, the can as it's most commonly referred to. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, guys. And I guess I'd like to say thanks for watching. Cheers much. I hope that you will watch the next video, the AMX 50B. And I guess all that remains for me to say is pants off.